way back in the day, everybody would always be like, hey, don't go broad, go deep, right? Because depth is what's going to secure you. I think, interestingly enough, it's actually the exact opposite.
I even know the guy who changed his complete career over to coding because he thought this is going to be safe and pure. And I think safety and security attached to skill sets is going away. There are certain things that don't need to be scalable, and those are hard, honest conversations with people in our groups and people on YouTube.
I think basically we're going to have like pre-AI creators and post-AI creators. That's that AI model that has a crush on me.
Yeah, dude.
With technologies like this coming through the fore, if you just do one thing, like if you're just a designer, and this model comes out that's like domain specific and trained specifically for design, and it can do the text placement and the lighting of any actor or whatever automatically, like I was showing you guys a moment ago, like how much longevity do you actually have in that role?
This new background, man, looks awesome.
Thank you very much. What do you think about my lightsaber, Jack? I'm trying something new.
I'm actually jealous, yeah. Oh,
Are you on the light side of the Force, as I am?
Dude, I think I might go Sith Lord, I think. Maybe purple. I like the purple. The purple's quite unique.
You got some Sith Lord energy. But here's the problem. I don't know how to turn this back. All right, anyway.
You have this changing colors in your videos at the back.
No. The idea behind this thing is somebody told me that everybody's using light poles now, and I just had to change apartments. Like I'm in a different setup, as you could see. And apparently this is just like one of the quickest and easiest ways to like get any lighting setup good to go. Because like the way that it is shaped, I mean, I know it's screwing up the camera and the recording right now. It essentially like diffuses the light outwards. So you don't actually need a bunch of fancy stuff. You can just put a light pole in front of you and get 90% of the way there.
I'm heading out to Dubai for a couple of weeks, so I've got to do move my setup over on a budget. So like I'm just debating what to take, and I think a light source like that will be cool. So I don't know if the Dubai apartment's going to be like, bro, but we'll figure it out. So
it's gonna be pretty rough, man. Not gonna lie. Like I've heard that like in the summer, bro, it can get pretty hot.
Yeah, well, dude, it's like I think everyone leaves for 3-4 months, so yeah, it's gonna be hot. It's gonna be hot. I'm gonna come back like the Black Panther man from this trip.
Okay, you know what? I think I'm
gonna be very tan by the time I get back.
Yeah. Can't wait to hear more about it, man. It's gonna be awesome. I'm just gonna put that over there, and hopefully people can at least see my face. We're doing a little low budget thing today. Cool. We got a lot to talk about, Jack. Listen, first of all, it's great having you here, man. And I appreciate that you have been consistently posting this podcast on your channel over the course of the last 2 or 3 weeks, or however long it's been. For those of you guys that don't know who Jack Roberts is, does he even need an introduction? I mean, he runs the largest school community on AI and automation on planet Earth. He comes from an extraordinarily entrepreneurial background. He wears cool shirts and funky hats. I mean, am I missing anything here, or have I just summed up your whole personality?
The shirt did it. Yeah, the jumper did it, man. What a beautiful introduction, man. It's very kind of you.
Thank you. Yeah. We got a lot to talk about. Some notes that I sent over to Jack right before this chat. I want to chat about a new image model that just came out. It's called Rev Image. You have a chance to take a look at that, Jack?
Dude, I haven't had a full detail, man. So tell me, what's your take on this one?
Dude, it's a crazy image model, bro. Like, I know we were just talking about how awesome it'd be if we had like a Jamie-like figure to jump on. But actually, just before I get into that, I want to chat like AI news. I want to chat a little bit about, this model, Rev Image, a little bit about another model called Character 3, how it's going to change the game, and maybe some entrepreneurial opportunities that are going to result alongside that. I want to chat about N8N, specifically the fact that they're raising $60 million freaking dollars to boost their presence and grow in the Bay Area. That's huge. And I also want to chat a little bit about vibe coding, because I saw you made a vibe coding video where Jack literally constructed a SaaS app in like an hour. It was nuts. So
yeah, I have a lot to think about vibe coding. Yeah, but that's exciting. I love the agenda, bro. That's perfect.
Yeah. So it's gonna be really fun, dude. Absolutely insane image quality coming out of this new model. This was basically like moonlighting as this one called Half Moon for quite a while, where people like they didn't. This company Rev Image sort of just like came out of nowhere, but essentially this thing is capable of producing any arbitrarily complex image, not just like pictures of people or animations or whatever. But if you go a little bit further, check this out. Are you seeing this right now?
Dude, this is correct.
These are like text-based. Like look at that, man. Look at that. Look at the coherence and the congruence on the text. Look at these ads that these things are making.
It's the font. It's the typography. It's like the one they always struggle to get text in, but it's like, how good is the text? This is like what happened
Exactly.
with typography. This is exciting.
Exactly. This has solved that. And so, anyway, I guess to make a long story short, the reason why this is so exciting to me in particular is because I think that these AI models have been at the point where like you could make cool pictures and stuff for a while. You know, you could do like cartoon animate. Like I actually got my start in AI, funnily enough, check with an anime image generator where I just wanted to like generate a bunch of images of like anime characters. And I found that it was pretty good at that. But, you know, anytime you tried to get more complex, anytime you tried to like move away from art and more into design, which I think is obviously where all the money is, quality tanked because it was unable to understand how to put a word together, understand letter placement stuff. But this model is finally at the point where you can. And it's not just that it can do so, it can do so extraordinarily well. So my thoughts are this is going to massively disrupt like the design industry, which up until now has been using AI image generators as a tool to like create backdrops or color gradients or whatever. But I think this is like literally the point where it's going to be putting designers out of jobs like tomorrow, the second that this model
100%.
drops.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
we've come out of what I would describe as the alarm bell part of the curve, which is this is getting kind of close. You know, the tides are getting kind of high. Like we're up to our waist, but we're not drowning yet. And then it just takes that slight step change where it goes from you can see the potential to actually physically working. I've
hmm
always had that same observation, bro, that image gen's really cool. Getting text on it's really cool. But you often find yourself doing 16 to 20 different variations to try and get the text slightly to the right, slightly to the right. To actually have a model that does that in a really congruent way that's excellent and crucially has a typography. Now, and Nicola, I know you're a stickler for typography, man, myself included. So for me, I think that's like delicious too. That's good. It's kind of giving your general standard creator or business like the opportunity to make production designer grade level materials. And actually, if
agreed.
it can do the hard thinking. So one of the things that we find, we'll come to vibe coding later, but the idea of like, you say, hey, design me a sexy app, right? What, however you define that. AI doesn't always know what great design looks like. So that's kind of that like additional value layer that these businesses add. Like they say, hey, Karen, we will pre-code and pre-built in understandings of what good typography and good text and good design is. So the image gen models could be this. I mean, I guess I'm assuming that's what this company's done is add that additional translation layer from user input to the generation models, which I think is really sick, dude. And I'd see myself using that quite a lot.
Agreed 100%. I think that when I see changes like this happen, I wonder as to how quickly we're going to see the major economic impacts that, you know, you and I have been talking about, right? One thing I always get in my community, and I'm sure you get as well, is like, Nick, Manus.ai just came out and, you know, it can now sign up to websites and, I don't know, fill out forms and do all this fun stuff. Is my work as an AI automation agency like screwed? Am I just like totally destroyed? Is there no hope or no future for me? I think that people like us actually have the most job security by far out of anything. With technologies like this coming through the fore, if you just do one thing, like if you're just a designer, you know, and this model comes out that's like domain specific and trained specifically for design, and it can do the text placement and I don't know, like the lighting of any actor or whatever automatically. Like I was showing you guys a moment ago, like how much longevity do you actually have in that role and like that domain specific role? I think interestingly enough, way back in the day, everybody would always be like, hey, don't go broad, go deep, right? Because depth is what's going to secure you. I think interestingly enough, it's actually the exact opposite. It's people that, you know, like entrepreneurs, for instance, or people that are in roles that require you to integrate a bunch of disparate information into one thing, high agency sort of roles that require you to make decisions that are realistically the most insulated from this sort of like major disruption to, you know, like the workforce. And I think that those are the ones that are going to last the longest. So I know that this is not 100% to do with Rev AI, but I was just curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Dude, I think that's really well said. It's emblematic of what's happening at every area of AI. And I think just to like zoom out a little bit for AI automators, it's like you have these different streams of technologies that are developing at a very rapid pace. And many of them are on crash courses to collide into one another. Like we
hmm
spoke about, didn't we, bro, in the last podcast about Sesame, which is this AI tech that is on
Right.
a direct collision course with game development, game design. So you have all these separate technologies, and once they combine, the technology feels like it takes a whole jump leap forward. So that's why I always say you need that breadth, general awareness of what is, even if you don't want to be an image specialist, it's good just to be aware of it because you will find different ways to integrate it and bake it into your product somewhere.
Sesame, you mean Maya, right? That's that AI
I
model that
am.
has a crush on me.
Yeah, dude. She's a flirtatious gal. I actually spoke to Miles, dude. It's actually funny. I was chatting with my girlfriend. It had me laughing, dude. I was like, "This is really funny, dude. He's a funny guy." Like, so
Right. Miles' first thing he says, "Get the hell away from Maya. What are you?"
yeah, dude. He's not quite as flirtatious. He's a little bit more aggressive, actually, man. So what can I say?
Dude, they they launched the API for that, right?
I saw that, man. Yeah, I
Oh,
saw.
sorry, it's not an API. My bad, my bad. I think it's the SDK or whatever. Like it's on GitHub. You can access it and you can like use it for your own stuff. You just need to whip up a server and have it running.
You go local host it. Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
do it through like.
I'm wondering about that. Like I should play around with that. That'd be so cool.
It'd be really cool. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I
it's
mean,
better,
like the
it's better than the OpenAI one, I think.
yeah, for sure. Like then real-time assistance, real-time voice assistance. Yeah. I was thinking about just the swarm of AI girlfriend apps that are just gonna like be created sometime in the next few years. And it's just gonna be freaking it's gonna be nutty. I know we chatted on that last week, so I'm not gonna cover it, but
Yeah, they're definitely going to be popular. Well, it already exists, right? Like you've seen those influencers that kind of fractionalize their personality
mm,
with images and stuff. Like, and people are already paying that. I think one guy was doing multiple six figures with his AI girlfriend.
you
They're
serious?
already happening. Yeah, it's already
Wow.
happening.
Holy crap. Dude, you should be pimping out AI models now, you know? Like that's how you've heard of the whole like OnlyFans agency business model. My friend was really interested in this a while ago. And putting aside like moral and ethical, whatever the hell you want to call it. I know a few people that are printing money with this stuff where essentially, like you help a model run their brand and then I don't know, you use AI to assist in like the responding to hundreds of thousands of messages a day. I wonder what sort of opportunities this is going to open, like if there's a will, there's a way, I guess. But hey, this is great.
Job in the world, isn't it? So
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
really, I mean, you just have to look at like candidly, like what are the most popular websites on the planet, and people are using it. Like it's a fact. You know what I mean? So like if you can, I mean, like it was funny. There was a guy I met once, and he was always introduced as a guy that bought firewalls for prawn websites, and I was like, that was just like, like this guy went to MIT, this guy went to so and so. That was like his calling card and stuff. And everyone was like, oh god, that's a bit like everyone's like whispering that a little bit. Then
Yeah.
but like you kind of like someone's got to do that, right? So like, yeah, dude. All back to say, it's definitely a bludgeoning industry, and like did nothing to say from AI. Every industry is getting it, like left, right.
100%. 100%. Man, I have so much more that I could talk about, like porn and its impacts on technology more generally, but just for pure distribution of this podcast, I will stop here. We'll do that. We'll do that another after hours pod.
The after hour when the coffee turns out for some old.
Yeah. It's great that we were chatting about this because I think this leads really naturally into our next topic. So, essentially, just like we were talking about a moment ago, you can generate these beautiful designs and stuff like that. A new model came out just in the last week and a half or so called Character 3. I chatted about it on my Instagram. This actually ended up being one of my most viral videos, but this is an AI generated image of a girl podcaster. Okay. And essentially what you do is you feed this into Hedra's Character 3, which is the company and the name of the model. And then it allows you to take a text thing and then like animate it basically. So check this out. So there are some obviously issues on that side there that we saw with like an additional hand. And that's just because the images, I don't know, I think like the wider frame images have more issues. But imagine if you just cropped this, okay?
Yeah.
Imagine you just crop this right in the middle, this dude here as he's talking. I mean, these are like pretty natural and organic looking.
They're really impressive. Yeah.
Right? There were a couple other ones. Check out this. I mean, Jack.
I wouldn't have told that. I wouldn't have spotted that was AI immediately.
Yeah, me neither, bro. Me neither. Like, I mean, obviously there's still a couple of like image problems and stuff like that. And I'm not going to dwell on those minor ones because I think it's just abundantly clear at this point. Like if you look at the tech that did that like a year ago, it was like stick figures going like beep, boop, right? Like the HeyGen stuff, as cool as it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's your defect. We're now at that, like we've hit the 95% mark. It's now those like marginal improvements to get those so the little like the fingers that appear and stuff, those are getting less and less.
Mhm.
Bro, I think you may have seen the content on YouTube about this proliferation of AI generated media. It's especially becoming prevalent on Google. I always thought Google was getting like I don't even use Google anymore personally.
Yeah, same.
It's like SEO content. It's just I just chat GPT it, right? But
Mhm.
it's also like as these things get better, if we were thinking about what's the opportunity for businesses, my kind of lens on it is that you are going to reach a point soon enough. We don't know what date specifically, but this generated content will become a commodity. The guy who's 17 in his basement in Arkansas can use it just the same guy as the media expert who's 45 and freaking Birmingham, whatever it is, right?
Why Arkansas? There's
I don't
something
know.
to say about the
Maybe
Arkansanians
there's
or
a
whatever.
small Marcus are watching this. Let me know down below. Maybe that was for you, down below, Jen. But the point is like, it becomes commoditized. So I actually think,
Mm,
and I get a lot of questions, I don't know if you get this, bro, about how you scale and create faceless video content and stuff.
yes.
And you can make money from that 100%. In fact, I've spoken to people who do multiple, 10, 10K, 20K a month with that. But I'm of the view that it is one of the lowest leverage applications of your beautiful knowledge that you can have. And I think the more that this becomes a commodity, there's always these fractions of opportunities that appear and emerge until someone else jumps on it. So I say this to say that the big opportunity, I believe, is in your personal brand and
Mm,
building a unique identity online and using your own unique voice. That will become the prized asset. It will be made by humans as opposed to made in the UK or made in Calgary or whatever. Um, so I think that's the direction I'm going to. So if you're a bit of a hacker, a kind of trend hunter, I
mhm.
think weaponize this to generate income in the short term. If you want to optimize for generating income in the long term, I would lean into authentic, natural, organic, personal content.
Yeah, I've heard it said that we really only have like a couple of years left to make a personal brand from scratch
Mm.
because the next couple of years is going to feature like a veritable torrent of content just like this. And like, let's be real, you and I, we can only make like a few videos per day. We only have so many new insights and cool pieces of knowledge we could share and ways to motivate our audience to actually get out there and do the work, right? I mean, how much more content could you generate with some model trained on my face that like looks just like me? I mean, supply and demand, right? Like if there are 100,000 videos, such similar videos that are posted on a daily basis right now, then in a few years there's going to be like 100 million. Um, so I mean, like I think the bar for content is going to go up, but that's one really interesting concept, I guess, that I've heard about, and that's one of the reasons why. Just to be transparent about my own brand strategy, I focus so much more on authenticity than I think a lot of other people do, and I focus more on just like crazy long form content where you just hear me breathe and like go down some shitty detour that doesn't amount to anything. Because I actually think that that is going to gain a massive premium when there's so much of this perfect, amazing AI influencer content stuff out there, like this trove that I've built, and also like this authenticity and like reputation for being positive. Like I think all of that, it's almost like it compounds. You know what I mean? Just like compound interest. It's just I think it's going to compound way faster than like actual interest. I think I think basically we're going to have like pre AI creators and post AI creators, and then I think like, we should be doing, you and I and other people that are watching this that are maybe starting, we should do literally everything in our power to like become the pre AI creator, to be known for producing content in the pre AI world.
Do you think that's because when AI reaches a level where it becomes somewhere near indistinguishable, the volume of comparable content will just be so high, people won't be clicking on new brands?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's only so much like search engine space, right? Like, I think that discovery algorithms will get better at showing specific types of content to the specific types of people that want to watch it. But like, I mean, how quickly is humanity growing? You know what I mean? Like 8 billion people today. How long is it going to take for us to get to 9 billion, which is like a 12.5% increase in total population? Comparatively, how much longer is it going to take for us just to get to a 12.5 increase in the amount of content on the internet? Well, that's probably going to happen in like a week. You know what I mean? Like the amount of content out there is vastly outpacing the number of people out there and the number of user seconds available to watch specific people. So
That's a good point. If you look at the supply and demand, there is a finite number of attention points and minutes available per person to invest in platform. The
mhm,
question is why invest it with you versus anybody
yeah,
else? But on Instagram, I came across an account called AI Surfer, and you may have seen this guy.
yeah, I've heard of these guys. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This guy, it's all AI generated. It's kind of hey gen, so his head doesn't move
Hmm.
very much, so you can tell he's kind of an AI. But bro's got over 400,000 followers, I think, last time I checked. So and obviously there is a strategy that works. Like you can do it for sure if you want to on Instagram. Um,
I think I
but you
saw this
can't be,
guy.
yeah, you can't
Sorry.
be bad. It's like the key thing is like, and it's so cool. I always bring back to YouTube because I freaking love YouTube, but it's also like your brand is something that is an asset that follows you indefinitely. Like it's like if you don't want to talk about AI image gen in the future, it's great to have an audience that have trust in what you do when you cover. And I think it's worth doing that. Like the cost of doing that only increases over time. And
Mhm.
it's a beautiful opportunity to do that, I think. And you can still leverage this tech and stuff. It's just I always say to people, you're if you're going to spend your beautiful brain investment points on something, let's solve bigger problems. Let's do something huge. But it's very popular. People really love doing that stuff. It's massive.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I was watching a couple of other guys on Instagram, and I was like, something seems a little bit weird about this content. There's like, these fast-paced reels that are similar to what I'm doing, which is mostly news-based content. And like the first second and a half, it's like, hey, in this video, we're going to talk about, and then it immediately cuts, right? But then I zoomed way in, and then I realized like the hand placement was the exact same in every video. Every single one was like, hey, in this video, hey, in this video, hey, in today's video, and I was like, holy shit.
That's
Is
crazy.
this all AI? And dude, like, hit me like a ton of bricks, bro. This guy had, I think, over 50,000 followers on Instagram, which is about my size now. And I was like, could I have just not recorded anything? Like, could I have just done all this shit in my boxers? Like, what the hell? It's crazy.
That's where you're at now. That's where you're at now. And I've seen a few lazy ones. I saw one. What was it now? Grant Cardone did one where like it was like, "Hey, this is Grant Cardone," and it was like really badly generated voice AI. And like the comment, like it's like if you do it like incorrectly, you
Yeah.
will flame. You have to get that like beautiful like sweet spot if you're gonna crush it.
That's a really interesting point. The social cost of being an authentic creator who is caught using AI. That's really interesting. So one thing that I was championing over the course of the last year was responding to every single one of my comments on my own. And I spent a few days, dude, going through YouTube, and I responded to like every single comment I had gotten up until I was like 20,000 followers. So something around that point. And I had, I started talking about it. I was telling people about this, and they're like, dude, you're responding to every comment. What are you, freaking crazy? What are you, nuts? Like, dude, like that, there's no leverage in that. I thought you were the automation guy, dude. Automate it. And I was like, well, actually, like, I feel like that's like a completely underutilized resource. I feel like every comment that I leave is a statue that I am building, a testament to myself as like a human being that spent the time to respond. Like, I feel like that adds so much more authenticity. And then I had somebody bring it up to me, and it was like, dude, like I trained a model on all of the text, all the stuff you've ever written. And then I actually went and I responded to a bunch of YouTube comments, like, pretending that I was you. Like, I didn't post them, I just drafted them. And then he sent over a bunch to me. And I was looking at him like, holy shit, that's basically exactly what I wrote. Oh my God.
Wow.
But then I was just like, man, like, what would the social cost be? What would the social cost be of this if somebody like kind of like found out that I was using AI to respond to them and it wasn't actually me? Do you know what I mean? I actually think that would be huge, dude, especially for brands like ours where it's like, okay, people like us. They like our personalities. They like what we do. And I was like, I can't. So I decided a long time ago, I'm not going to touch that shit with a 10-foot pole. Like if I'm responding to one of the comments, it's me responding to the comment. You know what I mean? It's not going to be a model. It's not going to be a robot. You could chat with a Nick chat bot if you want, but like you're going to do that. I'm not going to like pretend or whatever.
You're transparent about that. Same did. It was like I am actually the same. Like every post I do in my community, it's written by Jack, 100%.
Yeah.
You're right. It's like, well, okay, it may be right, but my gosh, to certain people, it destroys everything. It's like, oh my gosh, it's all AI generated, and there's a kind of plasticky. I guess it says, hey, I don't value your time enough to spend my precious time creating this content, so I've just generated it. So it's like you need to be indistinguishable if you're going to do that. But I think that's good. I think you can never be too close to your customers. You can never spend enough time speaking to people and having conversations. Like that's the boring, dirty 1,000 actions that get the results that people just don't want to do. And like I don't think because you and I, bro, we're scale centric and we love that stuff. It's also like there are certain things that don't need to be scalable, and those are hard, honest conversations with people in our groups and people on YouTube. I think that's really well said, man.
Agree, 100%. Also, if you think about it, statistically speaking, like if your average post or your average comment gets, I don't know, 1,000 or 10,000 views or something like that, and if you just leave like 20 every day for the next 10 years, like you will actually reach the vast majority of human beings that are out there that could be interested in your content. Like I was thinking about that as well. I was like, do I really need AI to do this stuff? No, I don't. Like if I just continue talking, there is already inherent scale built into media as a tool of leverage that I'm just going to keep being myself for as long as humanly possible. And who knows, man, if a big AI overlord comes and turns us all into paperclips, I'll at least have tried.
It's also your 20 comments are seen by other people. So it's like, you
Mhm.
also get like visibility in every one of those comments as well. So yeah, dude, I think that's really well said. It's like, we always talk about where to use AI, but there's also times when not to use AI, right?
Yes.
You have exactly this point. I think it's really good point there.
Damn right. Speaking about AI, N8N's raising $60 million, eh?
This is interesting to me. Yeah. So what's the digging into what they've done? I don't know if there's an article listed on it, but like, have they said why they're raising 60 mil?
Let me pull it up alongside you. I mean, there's stated reasons, right? And then there's like actual reasons.
Yeah.
Anytime a company makes a PR statement, it's like, we're raising it to help diversity and help increase access to AI models. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, sure, bro.
I'm going to do this as well.
Okay. I'm looking at it right now. Berlin-based N8N said it now has over 3,000 enterprise customers, around 2,000 active users on its books. They're going to use the Series B to continue investing in tech and expand in newer markets like the US, home to more than half of N8N's user base. So it seems to be that a big chunk of it is, this is like an EU-based company, right? Berlin, headquartered. They're raising this money to penetrate the American market. They're raising this money essentially to like one of my friends and one of the people in my community. They're actually interviewing for a round as like a community manager for N8N right now. And the whole stated purpose of this is to, I think it's to like improve visibility in like the San Francisco area. So I think they're actually trying to like migrate into the center of tech worldwide with this money.
Yeah, because they did a Series A for 13.5 mil 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Now they're on their Series B for 60 million. Yeah. Interesting. Well, dude, they've really blown up recently. I mean, like the prevalence of AI, these no-code platforms, I mean, they're only going to increase with time. I mean, it's just interesting to me that they're really doubling down on it. I'd love to know what their price per, their sort of like profit per customer is. I'd be very curious to know what that number is because lots of people are self-hosting it. And I'd love to know what the percentage of people who are doing that are. So I'd love to know what their business model is. Give Steelman the N8N business model, bro. Where do you think like most of their profit comes from?
I mean, if I were to steelman it, obviously they're gaining tremendous amount of market share, just in terms of like sheer percentage of people using their tools versus other no-code tools by offering the self-hosted open source version. Okay, so tremendous amount of market share.
But they don't.
But they're not making money out of it right now, right? Yeah. So that said, I mean, like imagine a future where everybody uses N8N, like 80% of people or whatever. And then imagine N8N produces some extraordinarily simple and cost-effective and very low cost thing that's just a no-brainer for most people to like, I don't know, add on some plugin or some extension or whatever. Imagine that. Like, it's just a few bucks a month. I mean, like they would instantly. I don't know. I don't know what the user base is right now. How many millions of people are using this thing?
That's a good question. That's fine. Yeah. I think that'd be a really good one to figure out.
Yeah. Let's check it out. Jamie, pull it up. Oh, right. We don't have a Jamie.
We need a Jamie. We need an AI.
We need a Jamie. We're hiring for a Jamie role.
If you're AI Jamie, tell us down below in the comments. Like AI Jamie. Okay, so allegedly 230,000 active users. So, okay. And I wonder I reckon that surged up, to be fair, quite recently. I wouldn't be surprised if that's over 300K now. Yep. Okay, so they have their enterprise customers, like what their offer is for their enterprise customers. Because Make is a good example. They are double downing massively in their enterprise clients because they're just worth way more, right? If you're Make, for instance, right, you get paid more based on operations. There's basically usage and frequency and embedding the operations. And then there's the friction of a leading platform. Like I had even someone reach out to me on school saying, hey, we're Whoop. Come and join us. It's like, no, like obviously not, because you're not just going to like uproot your platform, right? And School's awesome. I love School.
Yeah.
So it's like when you get these no-code platforms that really integrate with the business, like the transition costs get so high that you kind of have like inbuilt stickiness with that corporate client, which is why if you're selling a business like that is a good kind of like nice X plus factor. So from N8N's perspective, I wonder if they're similar in a sense that they say, hey, we want to broad market penetration. We recognize there's a cohort of people that will self-host because N8N appeals primarily to, I'd say, more developer-led individuals. It's not, I wonder where their core revenue comes from. I wouldn't be surprised with enterprise, but I don't know what their offer is for enterprise. So
very interesting. I think I could see that as being their strategy. Yep. They just front load the self-hosted thing, popularize the hell out of it, get behind large AI-based initiatives like Model Context Protocol, MCP, like the community node is out and they're now bundling. I saw a developer the other day on N8N saying that like they're bundling in MCP or something of that nature to make it like a core part of their platform. So maybe the reason why they're doing all this and pushing it is just because there is such an entrenched no-code market with enterprise clients like Make to come. They just have to make this thing like a total no-brainer. Like, an enterprise client might be paying, I don't know, $10,000 a month or something, like $15,000 a month for the operations usage of something like
Don't they
make.com.
have a thing where you can self-host it for free unless they have some kind of revenue cap on it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Like that.
yeah, but how are they going to enforce it in practice? You know what I mean? Like, dude, like, there's going to be hundreds of thousands of people that are going to be using this thing, and they're going to be using it commercially, and they're not going to be. But like, what's how's N8N gonna know? Like, unless there's some sort of like baked in telemetry inside of it, and it's open source, right? So if that were to happen, couldn't you just like swap that little function out? I don't know. It seems to me like they're basically trying to be more like infrastructure than a SaaS. It's almost like infrastructure as a service.
It is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, I think that's a play. I mean, like, the big money seems to be in enterprise. Even with like your general Joe blogs, individual solopreneur,
Yeah.
for example, who's using Make, he's not spending that much realistically
Yeah.
per person on the platform. Like all of your big ROI comes through enterprise clients. I think what it says to me, the fact they're doing such a significant raise is a really big growth signal for the group. And
Hmm.
as you'd expect the proliferation of AI and the use of automation to grow, N10 would be a platform that you'd expect to smash it. I mean, bro, you
Totally.
and I have spoken to lots of people who are creating their own N8N, not N8N, but their own platform. Like Lindy AI is a good example of one.
Hmm.
Maker's one, Zapier is one. There's also some other smaller ones that are coming up. And it's a growing market. It really is. And I know several people that use multiple of them. So it's not even a zero-sum game with these platforms.
That's a good point. I didn't really think about that. It really isn't a zero sum game. I mean, the reality is that like all of these tools can basically do all the same things. They're all like Turing complete from a computer science perspective, right? Like you can do what you can do and make in N8N. It's just like slightly different in order to do so. In the same vein, you can do what you can do in Java, in Python. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like a different programming language, like a different tool to get the job done. So yeah, I'm pretty jazzed about this. I think that N8N, like one major issue that we talked about before that I see a lot of N8N guys and girls that like, know the platform and want to make money with it do is like, it's just so much more technical. And there's usually just some of these more soft barriers to like actually going and deploying something like with self-hosting. It's little things like OAuth and whatnot that the base tends to be more developer friendly and developer oriented. And because it's more developer friendly and developer oriented, they tend to get caught up in the weeds. They don't actually know how to use it to make money. But I do think that like, with this much funding behind it, and then with this growth, this massive growth and dissemination, I think it's just a matter of time before N8N gets a lot more user friendly as well. And they solve things like the OAuth BS, or you having to set up like a Google Cloud Console account for every integration. Like I think it's just a matter of time. And when that happens, yeah.
Well, it's also like, I mean, my first tech startup, actually, we integrated loads of different businesses in UK, and
Mm,
every single one of them had a completely different process. And we
yeah.
wanted to standardize that. We were like, hey, we're going to take the bullets for you, Brett Nick. We're going to deal with all these companies for you. But then every single business needed a really specific different thing. And
Mm,
that is how you begin to create, I wouldn't say a moat, but it's good. Like if you can integrate, and MCP is a good example with different softwares and stuff, but the more you can standardize and simplify what those processes look like, the better and more advantageous that is. And they just have to keep on adding 5%, 5%, 5% every single year or every single month or whatever to make that whole process super simple. Make is, you know, if you're a business owner that just wants a quick automation and you're going to say, look, NA10 may have X, it's just going to be quicker to do it in Make, to pick up and learn it. So
for sure.
I think that's solvable by NA10. Make doesn't have a a pattern of making things simple. Like anything can do that. But there's like nice little it's actually it comes back to design, right? It's how they don't make you think. Like I think in this 60 million, what I would like in it is for you to hire a freaking beef out your UI team. Beef out like our sole job is to make this look freaking sexy and just
Mhm.
like that's what I think. Like I genuinely think that you'd be getting such a good ROI with that investment. 100%.
Dude, same. Or like some simpler hotkeys, or some like extraordinarily simple onboarding process that just shows the average person how to save 30% building. Or I don't know. It's like little things when like you add a node. Like why do I have to click on that little that little plus button, which is a tiny little thing in order to add the node? You know what I mean? Like have some sort of auto magnet thing on your cursor. Like there are so many of these tiny little UX changes that just like make it so much easier for and so much less clunky for newbies that
Yeah.
I think when they get somebody competent on board, I'm sure they'll figure it out.
We'll do. Let me ask the next question to you then, man. So
Yeah.
let's say NXM make okay, they're all converging around. Okay, do you know? You've ever seen the controllers, right? Like you have PS5, Xbox, they're all
Yeah.
like the same, right?
Yeah.
And it's this, and same with cars, like give or take stuff. And this idea that like over time, once an industry becomes mature, like there is a defined like thing that works. We are not there yet with these no code and AI like platforms.
Right.
My question would be like, once you get to that certain point, like, because where we're sort of heading with this, I see, is text to automation. That's kind of like the holy grail. I mean, Zappos
Right.
flirted with that. Like, I want an automation connect to my Gmail and blah, 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 to XYZ, and the automation develops. Where do you see that like affecting the automation space, man? Like, especially from an agency point of view. Because I've got some racy takes on this, but I'm interested to know, like, looking down the barrel a couple of years, what you think's happening with that.
Yeah, man, it's really cool that you're mentioning this because the way that I've always envisioned this, and I clearly clicked the wrong button on my lightsaber since it's changing colors. The way that I've always envisioned this working is just like all cars get more and more aerodynamic because it's just more like, you know, technically efficient. I think all of our user interfaces will just get closer and closer and closer to what I'm calling a unibox. Okay, kind of like Instantly's unibox. You screw around with Instantly, right?
Instant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the cold email tool, whatever. They have this thing called a
Oh,
unibox. It's like some big email thing. Anyway, it's not actually like that. What I guess I mean is, if you have a Mac or whatever, and you press Command and Space, there's this little spotlight search thing that pops up. Okay, imagine that, but for just anything you could ever possibly want to do. So imagine. Yeah, I mean, like ChatGPT is already doing this. Lovable's already doing this. Bolt's already doing this. Like all of these, like, vibe coding builders and even no code tools with like the Make.com AI assistant. You put in what you want, and then it interprets it in natural language, and it'll actually spin up an interface for you on the fly using code so that you could do whatever the hell you want. And the more sophisticated this market gets, alongside the more capable these tools get, I think just the more that all of them are going to verge on this unibox sort of idea. Just one little chat box where it's like, what do you want to do today? I want to do X, Y, and Z. It goes in on its back end. It spins up like a user interface that's like specific and relevant, and it's good for you. It knows your history. It knows what sorts of user interfaces you like. It knows what sorts of user interfaces you're good at dealing with and capable of. And then it whips it up. So I actually think that the moat of like the vast majority of these SaaS companies is like, there's a very short amount of time that we can like actually make a valuable SaaS company or something. Because in a few years, you'll literally just be able to type the SaaS that you want in the Unibox. It'll whip it up for you ephemerally for like, I don't know, like an hour or whatever. And then you'll do the thing that you want. You want to enrich some leads? It's like, I want to enrich some leads. It'll like create a little dashboard for you. And then you just like, oh, okay, click here to upload your leads, for instance.
that's fascinating.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's the way that things are tending. I
Yeah,
may be wrong.
actually, yeah, that's a really good point. Okay, I would like differentiate that between user and business.
Okay.
The
Yeah, good
part
point.
of differentiation with business is like, which I think you're thinking about as well, is it's integrating with their systems because like they have so many different legacy systems. So the question is like, how do you weave these things in? For the
Right.
user, for you and I, who are like, how do I do it with X, Y, and Z? We'll just be like,
Right.
yeah, look it up. I actually think that's a really interesting perspective, Nick. Thinking about that actually, that like actually these apps. I mean, imagine a Livable as a 1 out of 10, or Bolt, not new, right? What does
Totally.
the 5 out of 10 look like? What does the 10 out of 10 look like? Like you are literally talking genuinely transformational things. Like vibe coding is so freaking cool. I
Dude.
actually, guys, like personal story on this. Like my last tech startup, I bought on a CTO, paid him sweat equity. We sold. He made some cool money. If I were rebuilding that today, I wouldn't need to do that. I wouldn't like genuinely speaking, you could, and he's awesome. He's very talented, but it wouldn't be necessary now.
Mm,
That's how far the technology is coming on. So this period of SaaS, we've got this really unique window, bro. I think you're right with that, where um, basically we've not seen all the SaaSes that have been made or being made in this last year actually come to fruition yet.
mhm.
Because what we've done is enabled creatives or business people with tools to create and effectuate the technology. It used to be the case, like when I was doing like fundraising and I was like having conversations and stuff, they would say, "Who's the technical co-founder?" They almost wanted a technical co-founder on the team. One of
Right.
you needs to be. I said, "Well, that is not me. I am not the technical co-founder, right? I can spell the word technical, but I can't code."
Really? I can't.
And it's like, yeah, and it was like, it was almost like, don't bother unless one of you's a coder. Like
Yeah.
that's completely like I don't think, bro. Like if you said 5 years ago, they'd say that's never changing, and now it's completely changed.
Yeah, I would 100% agree, dude. I'd 100% agree. When I saw, if you guys haven't checked out Jack's video on how to build like I think it's called how to build a $1 million SaaS app with Lovable and Stripe or something of that nature. Sorry for butchering it, bro.
We'll remember.
But I just watched it earlier today and I was blown away. I mean, I'd played around a little bit with the stuff, but just I could tell you like you'd built a couple of these and you sort of knew how to like prompt it and you like kind of, you understood it to a deeper degree than I did. But I couldn't believe that there was this moment where you like you were trying to hook up the payment feature or something. And then you were like, I want to hook up this payment feature. And then I think it said, okay, great, just supply me your private key and this. And then you were like, you copied and pasted in the private key and this. And it's like, all right, cool, I'm setting it up right now. I couldn't believe that because when I set up my SaaS app for 1 Second Copy, which is my old content writing company, which we scaled to 92K a month, we spent probably like a week, dude, just trying to hook up Stripe to the back end to be able to process credits. You did it in like 5 minutes max. It was insane to me. Like my jaw was, I was like, you can do that shit? Sometimes it feels like if I'm not constantly scrolling through thousands of lines of new AI news and using every tool that I'll miss out. But I understand that that's the exact trap that I try and get people in my community to avoid, which is the shiny object syndrome. Still, though, I think vibe coding more generally is just a movement is dope as hell, man. And I think that I was thinking about like, how you and I were talking about potentially creating a SaaS of some kind and how our SaaS, we would want it to be something simple, something extraordinarily straightforward, and something that just adds a tiny bit of value to a process that people in our niche are doing on a daily basis anyway. Some sort of lead enrichment or some sort of qualification or scoring or some sort of auto response. I don't know. Like there's a million of things that we could do, obviously. And I was thinking about it, and we were chatting. We were like, should we hire somebody? If so, how are we going to hire somebody? What sort of like responsibility should we give them to help us with this stuff? Like, dude, when I see that, I'm like, do we even need to hire somebody, bro? Like, or are you just going to be the dev? You know what I mean? Just going to sprinkle on some lovable magic or some bolt.dev magic or whatever, and we'll just like make the app in like 3 hours and start selling it.
Dude, it is genuinely phenomenal. And like this vibe coding and SaaS, they're like they're brother and sister in a way. It's like the other thing I would say, bro, and like it's interesting to talk about that video in particular because like if you want to spin up a minimal viable product, right? So in other words, hey, we've got this cool idea. We think people are going to dig it. The idea, right, is shortest path towards how do I validate that, hey, someone thinks this is cool and they want to buy it. This is amazing for that. I mean, it's amazing for you can build full scale applications, of course. Actually, though, you can spin this up in an hour, like we did in the video, and you can put it in front of a customer who can put their credit card details in and buy it. Like, it was like, and actually, guys, you could have that fully, and maybe you don't even have to create a tag. I mean, we used to say like the classic MVP, you'll probably laugh at this, Nick, you remember this, was website, image, buy now, and you just track the number of clicks on it. Or
Yes,
track the email.
100%.
Like now you can actually deliver the product as well, right? Deliver the product at the same time. If you can think it and you're willing to sit in front of a computer with a coffee and enough time, you can make it happen. And that's what's really flipping cool. Essentially, it's this theory of constraints. Like there's a constraining factor. And I've had to TLDR this from my point of view. It's like, we've now removed the constraining factor from technology to somewhere else. That's kind of what's happening here. And it doesn't mean there's no value in having a super duper coder. I mean, like what we need to look at is like, what are the big guys doing? Meta, for example. You look at what they're doing with their devs and what are the devs doing now? Like the number of jobs available for developers. Like realistically, when I was at school, they were saying you need to learn coding if you want to live in the future.
Right.
Which is so interesting. I don't know if you heard that, bro, but they were
Totally.
basically said to us like, you got to learn to code, you got to learn to code, you have to learn to code. I even know of a guy who changed his complete career over to coding because he thought this is going to be safe and secure. And I think safety and security attached to skill sets is going away. Like there is no job anymore. There is no, if I just can do this, you need to play infinite games. You need to attach yourself to different things. And with the SaaS that Nick and I were talking about, we were thinking, well, weren't we, bro, in terms of what are the most common problems that you and I see that we think we could solve in a really crisp, beautifully designed place that delivers it really quickly. And whatever the thing is that does that, if we stick to doing that, we wouldn't get married to technology. We'd say, hey, we'll just figure out what works, what needs to be done, and then deliver it.
Yeah, we'll figure out what works now, and that is probably not going to be what is working in a year from now, but that's the cool thing. I love your point around there is no skill-based job security anymore. I think there's a meta skill, which is learning skills, and I think that that's really the thing. Basically, being high agency is the skill. If you're a high agency person, and if you can if that's the skill that you improve your entire life, then it doesn't matter what skill is in or out of fashion at that moment in time. Like you'll figure it out. And I mean,
Yeah.
I'm really grateful to entrepreneurship for letting me cultivate that high agency skill. I don't think you need to be an entrepreneur. I don't think you need to start a business in order to do that. But a lot of the time, in order to succeed in business, you do need to be high agency, so it filters people out, right?
Don't you think as
Um,
well, bro, that like
mm,
it's actually baffling to me. I we're probably in a like a I'd say we're not I wouldn't say an echo chamber, but we are in everyone that you and I see and think about on a daily basis, wakes up saying the word AI. But like, my sister, for example, she's a HR professional. She does well what she does. She doesn't even use ChatGPT. I went to a dentist, Nick, and the guy was like, "Hey, Jack, have you ever heard of ChatGPT?" I was like, "Never heard."
you're like, nope. Tell me about.
Yeah, what's it doing these days? And, he was a degree educated early 30s. Like, even this other guy I spoke, she's like, "What do you use AI for?" And I constantly find myself having these questions like, I don't know, this is probably more people than not actually, who are not even at the ChatGPT level yet. We're so far at the edge of the stuff that's happening. It's easy to forget actually the demand versus the supply.
Absolutely. And also, I think now that you're putting it that way, the leverage that people like us have because we're so early is massive. If you think about it, you were talking about your dentist earlier in ChatGPT, right? Like if that dentist used flexible AI processes in their firm or in their clinic or whatever, how much more efficient or effective would that business be? I think it boils down to you and I and other creators in the space essentially having a responsibility, almost like a duty, to literally make the economy more efficient. Because if 99.9% of people don't even know how to drag and drop a module across the screen, and we are of the gifted minority of people that do, and if we help a business drag and drop a module across the screen, we can impact the lives of, hundreds or thousands of people at that dental clinic over the course of the next years. Like, isn't that just such a beautiful thing, Jack, to like be able to help people do so at like one of the highest points of leverage this early on in all of this massive explosion of technology?
I agree, bro. And if you think about like how much wealth generation is happening in AI at the moment,
Mm,
people, it's like there's created value and captured value, and that's the captured value. But the actual trickle down created value of that, like the jobs that exist that never existed before, the people that are now able to quit and do different things, like the economical impacts of what we do in AI automation is insane, actually. Like, if you really think about it, like in it, and for example, if you were just to break down step by step, right? You create content on AI automation. Awesome.
mhm,
Then a client sees that and says, "Hey, I want to work with Nick. I'd like to work with Jack or whatever." And then they go and they do this. They implement the processes. They have like a core marginal effect on their business. They can then hire new people. So now, you know, Steve McQueen that lives at 72 Bendigo Avenue has now got a job because the dentist has more money in disposable capital to hire someone to do this. And
mm.
it's like the trickle down economics of it are freaking unbelievable, which is why I'm kind of like I'm optimistic about markets in general at the moment because we've not seen the full effect of AI really across these businesses. So I think that's something that I'm thinking about a little bit at the moment. It's like, okay, knowing what I know about the fact that the actual technology, because like some people compare it to like cryptocurrency in a sense, which I think is very different than that. But
Yeah, me too.
they say one comparable factor could be the hype, but the key difference is this is actually changing. Like I can point to a billion examples of how this is actually in the real world changed the way people do things. You couldn't really say that for some of the technologies or necessarily.
Mhm.
So, dude, that blows my mind, and I think like the economic impacts that are absolutely huge. All that to say, now is the best time ever to get involved and learn this skill set. And it's I don't know if you think of this, but it's you will never complete it. You are essentially becoming a lifelong learner of this technology.
You are essentially committing yourself to indentured servitude of shiny object syndrome,
Well, bro.
just like a hell of your own making.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%, bro. I couldn't agree more.
Hell yeah, Jack. Listen, man, anything else you wanted to cover?
Dude, I think that's beautiful. I think we covered some fresh stuff. Dude, I think that was beautifully said, man.
Me too, man. I'm really stoked to get this podcast out. If you guys don't already know Jack, please make sure to check out that lovely YouTube channel of his. I'm also seeing you pop up all over Instagram and LinkedIn.
Oh, that's
Really
cool.
appreciate your time, my man. Looking forward to the
Thank you,
next
bro.
one.
Good to see you.
Cheers.